The Camel Cup is a highlight of Australia's camel calendar. The atmosphere is festive and the racing on trained camels is competitive.
He just absolutely loves to run. Yeah, he stretches his head right out and he just goes.
Most riders are experienced, but a few first-timers compete as well.
Well, I've done some unusual things in this job, but riding a camel in a race, this is pretty special.
Camel racing in Australia, though, isn't much of a business, and though celebrated here, the camel is far from universally loved.
This is a unique and special event, but away from the racetrack, camels in Australia are a controversial subject.
Camels were first brought to Australia in the 1800s to carry equipment across the desert. But when motorised vehicles replaced them, many camels were freed and they thrived. In 2009, one estimate suggested 1 million were roaming the outback. For farmers, wild camels had become a pest.
We had really big problems with the camels, a lot of damage to infrastructure, which meant that we couldn't run our normal beef management programs.
So between 2009 and 2012, Australia's government paid for a cull. Almost 200,000 wild camels were shot and their carcasses left to rot. Only after the cull did the original number of wild camels get revised down. At peak, there were probably about 500,000, with 300,000 left today. Many think the original numbers were deliberately inflated and that shooting camels and leaving their carcasses to rot was wasteful.
Me, I prefer to see them utilised, whether it's in tourism, racing or as for meat animals. They could have used some portable yards and put camels in yards and got a truck in there and trucked them out. They didn't have to fly around in a helicopter and shoot.
Gary DANN runs an abattoir. Mostly he butchers cows, but he kills a handful of wild camels, like this one too.
Camel meat's low cholesterol, from arguably the cleanest deserts in the world. It is a good meat.
DANN thinks the government should subsidise the capture and killing of camels for meat, for which he says there is growing demand. Here too, there's little support for a new cull simply to reduce numbers. Many think the original one was a huge waste of money and opportunities, as well as camels. Andrew Thomas, Al Jazeera, Alice Springs.